Hey everybody, it's Brian Costello from Core Mental Health Counseling. I just wanted to hop on here and talk a little bit about one of my favorite topics these days, which is polyvagal theory. And if you know me, you're probably sick of hearing about this. So polyvagal theory has to do with what most people know, which is the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. But the sympathetic nervous system is that fight or flight response. So they actually make a distinction between fight and flight and freeze. So the fight or flight system has to do with a perceived threat. So it could be a deadline at work, it could be student loans, it could be relationships, but it is your body's response to a threat, and your body produces chemicals like adrenaline, cortisol, in order to kind of deal with that task or face that challenge. So the body's response is almost I can. And so too much of those chemicals might cause anger, irritability, anxiety, fear, panic, and so prolonged stress can sometimes result in, just those feelings of just being tense all the time, but it can also result in what they call immobilization, or that freeze mode. So fight, flight, and then freeze is kind of a separate system. In polyvagal theory, they call that dorsal vagal, and it is part of the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's your central nervous system trying to calm itself down, but what it ends up happening over a period of stress, if that perceived stress can't go away or we can't do something about it, we'll fall down into that dorsal vagal system, where it's almost a mobilization. So that's where sometimes people will come in and they start to identify, feelings of depression, being totally, tapped out. In more extreme situations, it's dissociation. The way that I, discuss it with my clients is it's kind of that Homer Simpson kind of look, the 1,000-yard stare, and just kind of the desire to be like a little tapped out, or, just feeling tapped out. So it could be feelings of being numb, shut down, hopeless, trapped, like you're in quicksand. And that's the body's response to prolonged stress or a situation where we did not feel like, so, for example, trauma. If it was a situation where we didn't feel like we could get out of, what was happening, we can kind of stay in that dorsal vagal state. And on top of those systems, the newest evolutionary part of the vagus nerve would be what they call ventral vagal, and that is social engagement. So when we're in social engagement, we feel safe, we feel connected to others, and it's actually increasing our, when we're in this state, it increases our immune system, increases oxytocin, which is the chemical that has to do with love and bonding with people. And so something that I like to bring up with my clients is, if you can picture a ladder, and the bottom of this ladder is that dorsal vagal. So that's that immobilization, that system shutdown. An important thing to kind of take a look at with this is there's a term called neuroception, which I believe was coined by Stephen Porges. It has a lot to do with polyvagal theory, kind of the creator of polyvagal theory. And neuroception has to do with how our brain is interpreting the information that is happening in our body, in our environment, and then relationally. So me in between, others around me. And so if my body is in a state of system shutdown, my brain interprets that information like I can't do anything about it, that I'm stuck, I feel like I'm in quicksand. That's where those thoughts of hopeless, helpless are coming from. It's just my brain's interpretation of what's happening in my body. On top of that ladder is the next section of this ladder would be that fight or flight system. So again, if my body's in fight or flight, my mind is going to be in a state of, I have to get this done. So it's usually worry thoughts, anxiety thoughts, could be anger, and typically we're not in that like safe social engagement part either, because it's, on some level we're interpreting a threat. And then on top of that ladder is social engagement. So here's the really kind of interesting kind of part where it brings a lot of application to everyday life. If you are in a mobilization, and you're in that system shutdown, in order to get to the top of the ladder, which is that social engagement, so you feel really connected, and your partner feels you, you feel them, you have to move from immobilization. You can't skip fight or flight, so you have to move from immobilization up through that ladder. And so you have to kind of go into fight or flight. So for example, if you are working all day and you're really, really shut down, you had a hard day and you come home and you're just in system shutdown. All you want to do is like turn the TV on, you want to space out, eat some food and just not talk. But your partner comes in the room and is not in that place and they're hoping to feel connected to you, close to you. What we typically need to do is actually move through immobilization up to fight or flight. So that might look like, for me, that might look like talking about my day a little bit, with my partner and just sharing, what happened, my maybe even emotional responses to things. And then as a result of moving from immobilization, which is feelings of numb and tapped out, to a little stress, I'm talking about my day and like what really bothered me, into the newest evolutionary part of our central nervous system, and into that social engagement place, where intimacy resides and, closeness and connection. So, and then our brain interprets information based on that. So I think it's really an awesome kind of educational tool and practical thing to have, especially in context of relationships. I think it's so vital, especially knowing that one person could be in system shutdown, the other one could be fight or flight. The other really important thing is knowing that sometimes we never even move into social engagement. So we go from stressed, system shutdown, stressed, system shutdown, stressed, system shutdown. And so it's really important to just kind of pay attention to your body, listen to the signals of your body, and just, moving from that stress shutdown into fight or flight and back into social engagement. So if you're in that system shutdown, sometimes moving your body, playing music, singing, dancing, things to kind of get out of the system shutdown. And if you're in fight or flight, some belly breathing, bring your stress hormones down, go get a massage, talk about this is my favorite, talk about what's going on with you. And then move into meditation, things to yoga, whatever your practice is, and kind of move back into just a more calm state. Polyvagal theory kind of guides us into really paying attention to what's going on with our body. And something I say all the time is our mind can lie, but our body, our body's always telling the truth. So I think it just allows us to pay attention a little bit more to what's happening on the inside of our skin. So just wanted to share. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, either email or give us a call. Always happy to help. Again, it's Brian Costello from Core Mental Health Counseling. Thanks.